Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily. Having taken place over a week ago, it seemed as if the Polish parliamentary elections were well behind us. However, the electoral protest filed by the Law and Justice Party concerning the alleged discrepancies in the counting of votes for some candidates led to the opposition accusing the ruling party of stripping away democracy. In response, politicians from Law and Justice stress they're not doing anything illegal and simply want to make sure there were no malpractices committed during the counting process.
The Law and Justice Party have filed 6 motions to the Supreme Court asking for a repeat counting of the votes to the Senate, where the ruling party lost a majority by a small margin. The Supreme Court will investigate the case using the newly created Commission for Special Control in Public Matters. According to the politicians of the opposition, it spells the end for Polish democracy, as the judges were chosen for the Commission by the Law and Justice. It doesn't matter who votes, it only matters who counts the votes, said Joseph Stalin, and I think Jarosław Kaczyński paid much attention to these words and has a similar standpoint on politics as Stalin. We have a scandal on our hands, as Law and Justice doesn't accept the outcome of the elections.
Mamy wielki skandal w Polsce.
Politicians of the ruling party stated the whole procedure is legal and that they only have doubts concerning the invalid votes, which could turn out to be favorable for the Law and Justice. It's a standard procedure for resolving doubts concerning the invalid votes. They could have an influence on the outcome of the elections, so it needs to be checked, especially in the constituencies where the difference was very small, in example 300 votes. The Supreme Court has until January 13, 2020 to make a decision. Since the fall of communism in 1989, the highest judicial institution in Poland ruled for repeated elections only once, in 2005, when in the Częstochowa constituency the name of the electoral committees were missing.
The Institute of National Remembrance handed the Semper Fidelis Awards for the first time to people and institutions which particularly helped to preserve the Polish heritage in the Borderlands. The Borderlands are eastern parts of Poland, which were taken away by the Soviet Union following the Yalta conference in 1945. Among those awarded were priest Roman Dzwonkowski, sociologist and professor of social sciences, the president of the Association of Home Army Officers in Belarus, Colonel Weronika Sebastianowicz, and commander of the Polish Scouts in Ukraine and Lithuania, Stefan Adamski.
Ile w nas jest kresów?
How much of the Borderlands is within us? How many little stories which we learn about, if not by family, then by touching on the culture of these lands? We're not doing this to oppose anyone else, but we want these traditions preserved and this culture to be accessible to those who currently live there.
Naszych rodaków.
Walczyliśmy w różnych okresach.
We fought in different times, but we all fought for Poland. I'm very happy that I was given this award, because when I was in prison or sent to Siberia, I never thought I would make it out of there alive. I would never dream of coming back home, to Poland, not to mention receiving an award like this.
Nawet nie marzyłam o tym, że kiedyś przyjadę do Polski.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will remain in power after yesterday's federal election in Canada. His Liberal Party won 156 out of 338 mandates, while the Conservative Party took 122. However, this time the gaffe-prone former substitute teacher will have to form a coalition government with the Social Democrats from the New Democratic Party or separatists from Quebec. Trudeau has announced that his main focus in the coming term in office will be the fight against climate change. Semper Fidelis, mayor of Biac, a Bosnian town near the border with Croatia, announced yesterday that the city will stop providing food and water for thousands of migrants in the Vujac camp.
The desperate move comes following a sharp increase in new migrant arrivals to Bosnia after Greece decided to move thousands of migrants from overcrowded camps on the Aegean Islands to mainland Greece. The Vujac camp near Bihac made news recently as a viral video showed more than 1,000 migrants escorted by a couple of Bosnian police officers to the camp. The Vujac camp, about 8 kilometers from the border with Croatia, was built over a former landfill, where landmines remain from the Yugoslav wars of the 1990s. Many of the migrants complain about living conditions in the camp.
And we are living here, you see the tents, and there is no bed and no that double bed, you know, and we are living on ground. So the situation is too bad, And when we are going on game to the Croatia or to moving to Europa, so when they are catching us and sending back us here, and when they are catching us, they are beating us very hard, and they are not saying that we are humans or animals.
Other migrants also accuse the Croatian border guards of using severe violence to keep the migrants away from the Croatian border.
We have many problems in Bosnia. Don't have water and no food, no medical. And when we go across the border, Croatia, they will beat us and take everything: bag, shoes, food.
Over 40,000 migrants have entered Bosnia since 2018, of whom around 7,300 have settled in the northwest Bihać area, hoping to cross into nearby Croatia and go on to the affluent north and west of the EU. The mayor of Bihać argues that the city can't continue to carry the burden alone. I don't want us to close the camps, but migrants are coming here to Bihać from the entire country, from all directions, and want to cross to Croatia. Firstly, we, the local community, are the only ones to carry this burden. We cannot continue spending taxpayers' money on them, because we don't have it. Secondly, unless there is no government strategy, we will also ask to close the informal migrant camp in the former refrigerator factory Bira and leave solving the problem to those in charge. The International Organization for Migration has criticized the conditions in the camp and urged Bosnia to close it and relocate the population to more appropriate facilities. The problems in Bosnia are expected to grow as the Balkan route of migration becomes increasingly crowded, with a new stream of migrants arriving to Europe through Turkey.
Thank you very much for joining me here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily Weather. It's followed by the business, then it's the culture, the history, and then finally the travel.